friends. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. I am so glad that I'm streaming right now. I can't even tell you because it is such a joy to look in my chat and see such nice, normal people. I am very, very pleased to see everyone here. We're gonna talk about some silliness. We're gonna talk about Gen Z related nonsense today. And I do want to thank everybody who's in chat, by the way. I'm fully aware of the fact that yet again we've got content creators who are trying to discourage people from being here. And I'm really glad that the people in this chat are adult enough to realize that that nobody can tell them where to go and what to do. All right. And this whole business of forming armies and everything else, and you're either with me or against me and all that shit. No. No. Absolutely not. I do see some hilarious, absolutely hilarious alliances forming, and I can't wait to see how they pan out. Seriously. Next week I find out when my surgery is, and when I'm in the hospital, I'm gonna need some entertainment while I'm there. But I want to thank you all for being here. Let's go ahead and get on with it. All right, so I discovered yet again that I am being unsubscribed from more and more channels. And I make this discovery when videos by channels that I thought I was subscribed to start popping up in my recommended feed. And I thought, wait a minute, why is it in recommended? Why is it in my subscriber feed? So I found out that I had been unsubscribed from Robert Welsh, from James Welsh, from Robert's Reaction Channel, from Amala Ekpunobi, and I was annoyed. So I just want to let you guys know that if you are unsubscribed from this channel, understand that it appears to be some sort of a YouTube glitch. Yet again, it seems like this happens every few months, or maybe at least once or twice a year. So if you're not subbed, please consider doing so. I would really appreciate it. Okay. I got a request from a viewer, Betsy Martin, as a matter of fact. Hi, Betsy. Who asked me to talk about Pedro Pascal. And Pedro Pascal is a topic that I had been mulling over. And Karsten and I, of course, because he's my producer, we had a lengthy conversation about Pedro Pascal today. And I am looking forward to talking about him and my theories about Pedro Pascal. And what I think is happening with him right now. I was going to go over a short that Amala Ekpunobi did about him, and I thought, no, I'll save it until I'm ready to talk about all things Pedro. Hang on, you guys. I'm dealing with some bullshit. Hang on. Sorry, you guys. Car dealership drama. You don't even want to know. Okay. Okay, you know what? Why don't I just tell you off the rip? Is that the expression, off the rip? the problem that I am having with one of the talking points about Pedro Pascal. Amala made a video that was quite similar to videos that I've seen made by other right-leaning culture movie commentators, where she was talking about how he's basically a phony refugee. And she was making a big deal about the fact that Pedro Pascal's family was very well connected in Chile, that he had an affiliation or an association with the Allendes. Hi, Judy. The Allende, Salvador Allende, who was overthrown by Augusto Pinochet, who was one of the worst, most brutal of the South American dictators of the 1970s. And I want to just quickly state that I think that this talking point is extremely unfair. And it is being... Hi, Betsy. And it is a talking point, or it is a point that is being made by people who are completely unfamiliar with the history of Latin America in the 1970s. The fact that Pedro Pascal's family was very left-wing, probably, as my father would say, comunistoide, and aligned with the Allende party. And all of Allende's supporters were targeted, resulting in many of them having to flee the country. It's no laughing matter. Now, people tend to use the word asylum seeker and refugee interchangeably. They're not the same thing. There is a difference. And I think that the tack that they're taking, the position they're taking, and I love Amala Ekpunobi. I think she's amazing. And I also like the other content creators who are making this point, but I think on this point they are dead wrong. No, madam, no, sir. When your country is faced with tremendous political upheaval and violence, and the person who takes over, who takes the reins of leadership, decides to target not only the opponents, but anybody who backs the opponents. So not just the politicians, but family members, allies, trade unions, in the case of Pinochet, because Pinochet was hard right, military, a general. Whether you have to flee the country of your birth with just the clothes on your back, or even if you are leaving with the means to be able to go from one place to another, it is no laughing matter. And to suggest that just because an individual and his family, and Pedro Pascal was very, very young at the time, very young, a child, to suggest that somehow having money when you are forced out of your own country. No, that's not how it works. Knowing that your family might be rounded up, knowing that your friends and colleagues might be killed, which is something that happened in Argentina. It happened in Chile. It happened all up and down Latin America, because the 1970s were the time of military coups and military dictatorships. So I read Pedro Pascal's story. I went on his Wikipedia entry and I took a look at what his family had to go through to escape Chile. And it was harrowing, okay? It wasn't just like they went to the airport with like a chest of gold, hopped on a plane and left. No, that's not what happened. They had to spend a considerable amount of time taking sanctuary in the Venezuelan embassy. And it's a really amazing, inspiring story. My family had, as you know, their own dealings with having to escape from Argentina. In the when did they leave? They left at the end of World War II, and they went to Europe. And it's an amazing story. But in the 1970s, I also happen to have family in Chile. And my cousins in Chile, whom I've never met, because I have a lot of family in Latin America that I've never met. I've never been to Latin America. My cousins, who were big comunistoides and Allende supporters, had to flee to Sweden. So it looks like a lot of Latin Americans ended up going to Scandinavia and finding refuge there until they finally got to their final destination. My point is that to suggest, and my cousins did not have means, they were not wealthy people by any stretch, but it was one of those things where if you were part of that in-group, that comunistoide in-group, they developed intelligence networks, and they started like, not like a telephone tree, but it was like people would show up at your house and say, you've got 10 minutes to pack and leave. That was the heads up that you got, because that was your warning that they were coming for you. So I take exception to this idea that Pedro Pascal, and again, he was a very young child, but his family felt the brunt of it. I don't like this talking point. If you're going to criticize him for anything, you can criticize him for his acting, his choice of roles, whatever, or indeed the SJW statements that he has been making since he broke out. But to suggest that there is anything lesser than when it comes to telling his story, absolutely not. I think it's shameful that people are spreading this talking point. I really do. All right, let me take a drink of water because my mouth is so dry. Okay, let's get on with the main topic. And I also decided, because I found another video clip, and I'm going to tack it on at the end. Okay, so I'm going to bring up our beloved, and yes, I said our, because I know anyone with any sense adores this man. Robert Welsh. Have I seen what the singer Lorde is up to? No, absolutely not, Kay. I have no idea. I don't follow her. So no, I am absolutely clueless. I am without a clue. All right. Robert Reacts. We haven't watched Robert Welsh in a very, very, very long time. And this is his reaction channel. Now, just as a bit of background, a story broke out on Twitter and it went viral. And this is one of those things where, one of those stories where, for the life of me, I do not understand why this story has gained so much momentum. But it has gripped so many different communities, and people were following it like a soap opera. I find the whole story to be very amusing, and I'm going to need all of the Gen Xers and the Boomers in chat. We're going to need to put our grown-up pants on, okay? And we are going to need to school the children, because I think that this story is much ado about nothing. And as a result, I thought that we would all watch this together and look at the foibles of youth. Okay? One could draw a lot of conclusions about this story, but I think that the conclusions that are being drawn by the vast majority of observers, I don't agree with them. Okay? Oh, I know you can, No Name. You're very sensible. I don't like wearing my grown-up pants either, Judy, but I'm afraid that in this case, we are all going to have to come together. It takes a village, you know? I mean, I don't take TikTok drama seriously anyway. I could give a damn about cakes or chocolate-covered strawberries or anything. I think that TikTok drama has been pretty dry and boring. I mean, the last really fun TikTok drama that I saw was about those pajamas. I loved that story. But I'm sorry, Judy. I don't like this any more than you do, okay? I'm not happy about it, but I think that as older consumers of social media, it is our obligation to talk some sense into these people. Okay. I'm just going to let Robert explain, okay? Because he's adorable. He's much cuter than I am. So let's go ahead and let Robert explain what the story is about. Let's go.
So there's been this whole thing about the lady that ran away to Italy.
Can we just take Robert in for a second? Can we sit here and appreciate how adorable he is? I don't think that Robert Welsh has ever put a foot wrong, and neither has his brother. I adore them both. I don't know if you guys have seen the video where where Robert is doing, they have a third brother who's not identical. He's just a separate brother. And Robert and James are doing his face. Robert is, the third brother is quite straight, by the way, and Robert is doing his makeup, and it is adorable. It's adorable, and I can't imagine what it must be like to have grown up in a household with these two adorable twins. So cute. So cute. I'm crazy about them. As a matter of fact, when I first started watching Robert, I didn't realize he had a twin brother. And I thought that the guy who did the skincare content was Robert. And then I saw them both in a video together, and I thought, oh my God, if Robert did not have that little shaved part of his eyebrow, I would never be able to tell these two apart. They look exactly alike. Identical, identical. All right, enough of me blabbing and gushing over Robert. Let's go.
To be an au pair. You've probably seen it already. Ala Catherine posted her original video where she was sneaking out of her host family's home, and it blew up with 16 million views. We should say escaping from the home before she deleted the video. If you haven't heard of an au pair before, it's basically like a nanny. You can choose to travel abroad to a host family and look after their children.
I'm sorry, I need to correct this. And the only reason I'm being persnickety about it is because for those of you in the audience who are British or American, or, you know, maybe you're just very well read, I don't know how many of you remember the case in the 1990s of the British au pair named Louise Woodward, who was hired by two doctors to look after their baby. And while in Louise's care, the baby died. The baby was 8 months old, and it turned into this whole trial. It was in the Boston area, and it ignited this debate about au pairs and nannies. And I remember that at the time I was working for Chris Matthews, and he became absolutely fixated on that case, absolutely fixated. And we did several hardball shows on this story. And he was inviting women in DC who ran nanny agencies onto the show to discuss the difference between a nanny and an au pair. An au pair, it's a cultural exchange program where a young person, usually a young woman, will get hired by a family, and in exchange for free room and board, the au pair is asked to do light housework, look after the kids and stuff like that. Well, the au pair problem is that these are girls who may or may not have experience looking after children, especially very young ones. And the families will take advantage of these girls, absolutely. Turn them into servants, take advantage of them. The scale of pay for au pairs in the United States is very, very, very low. So when you want to become an au pair and you want to travel abroad to explore the culture or whatever, you need to be very, very careful. If you have daughters, granddaughters, whatever, and they're considering becoming an au pair, you have to warn these girls that they need to be very careful. They need to do their research. They need to ask the right questions to make sure that they're not getting into a problem, and that they have a quick out if they find that the family is exploiting them in some way. Okay. But au pairs and nannies are not the same thing. Absolutely not the same thing. All right, let's continue.
Or their home in return for board and food while you're there. It's a great way to see the country. It tends to be something you would go away for a couple of months to do at a time.
I'm sneaking out of my host family's house. It's 5:43 a.m. Oh my gosh, I'm literally shaking. That was the scariest thing ever. I couldn't figure out how to get past the gate, but I got it. and carrying all these bags. It's kind of scary. I just hope the train comes soon. Okay, I made it to the airport. I had to take an Uber because the train wasn't coming for another 30 minutes. But I'm at my check-in gate. I don't know where.
Here's the highly requested story time on how and why I had to sneak out of my au pair family's house in Italy. I just want to first say that I did not expect at all that video to do what it is doing right now. I'm like,
Okay, yeah, but what this girl did was very clever, because she went on TikTok and you saw how dramatic that was with the whispering and how she was nervous and scared and everything. So one would think that people were after her, that she was fleeing for her life, you know. So she ginned up interest in her story by going on TikTok and giving the impression and drawing the audience in, like, oh my God, I hope she's okay. I hope she doesn't get hurt and blah, 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 blah. Well, now we are going to hear the story of what actually happened.
like still in shock. I'm like really like don't know what is happening right now. This is gonna be multiple parts, so I'm sorry, but it has to be that way because I have a lot to say. And I want to make a disclaimer. I did pay for my entire flight there and back. They paid for nothing, and I can promise you this was not a vacation in my eyes. Like, I did not spend over $1,000 to fly there and back in less than a week. And I did my research, so all
I
y'all
don't think so.
can zip it. But we're gonna start from the very beginning. If you don't know what an au pair is, it's basically someone that goes to live with a
We've
family in
discussed,
another
we've filled in
country, and you either watch their kids, you do light housework, and in return you get food and board. So I met my host family on Au Pair World. This is something that I've seen a lot of people do. It's not an agency, so it's not like official. I didn't pay for anything. We didn't sign any contracts.
Okay. First red flag. No contracts were signed. No contracts were signed. That is a problem. Because if you are a young person and you are going to another country and you are going to live in a private home with a family, you need to be 100% certain about what it is that your duties will be. And they need to be written out very clearly so there is no misunderstanding. And you and the family need to have, you need to be simpatico, you know? I don't know that much about the way the au pair program works, but I will say this. I think that if you are going to take on the role of a childminder in another country, that it would probably be best if you went through an agency. Hi, Reindeer. Good to see you. So, no agency, no contract. She did not ask the right questions. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. Right, No Name. The agencies have contracts, but she went through a website. A website. So it doesn't sound like she ever had the opportunity to communicate with the host family. If she had been able to communicate with them ahead of time, I think that all of this could have been avoided. But then she wouldn't have 16 million views on one video or on a series of videos on TikTok. Let's go.
Wait.
That is where I met.
Please, no, please. Okay. If you are a younger person going to a different country,
Didn't I not
to
just
me,
say
that's
this?
like organizing being an au pair on Craigslist. Like,
Exactly.
you don't know what's going to happen. That's really fucking dangerous. You want a contract. You want someone in between. You want to make it official.
Right.
You can turn up and it can just be some pervert guy in his house wanting some girl
Exactly.
to live with him. You know what I mean? You need to be so careful. That's terrible.
My host family. Also, in these videos, we're referring to them as host mom, host dad, and host child.
Right.
That's what we'll do. Because we don't need to be getting in trouble. I'm just telling my story, my experience. Okay, let's keep it going. So the host mom reached out to me. She said she liked my profile. She wanted to get to know me more, wanted to chat with me. I read over her profile, and on there were the things I would be doing. This included waking her son up, getting him changed, giving him his milk, walking him to
Normal
school at
nanny
8:30, picking him up from school at 6. So he was in
Picking him up from school at 6. Now, the impression, and I've never lived in Italy, but for those of you who have, or you're familiar with Italy. Is it common for very young children to be in school until 6 p.m.? That is very late. That's just an aside. That stood out to me. Let's continue.
School all day long, and then heating up his dinner, and then I clean up after dinner. I also had Friday afternoons and weekends off. So fast forward a
Okay, Fridays and weekends off.
little bit.
Right.
We FaceTimed twice. We got along very well. She was very talkative, seemed very nice, and I was really excited. I let her know I was interested in coming to live with them. They agreed. They said that we'd be a good fit. So
Cute.
I then booked my flight to Italy and left for Italy 2 weeks later. So it was quick. They wanted an au
Hi,
pair
Jen.
as soon as possible. So I gave my work like 3 weeks notice. Mind you, remember, we have no contracts. I paid for my flight. So I was supposed to stay 85 days total. So about 3 months. Yeah, so to make this more organized and explain everything, I think I'm gonna break it down pretty much day by day. And I was there for 4 total days. I'm
4
posting
days.
part 2 right away, so go check that out and you can see my first day in Italy.
Again, that contract thing, that website that just lets you set up with a random stranger
Right.
going to live in their house, no proof of identity, no criminal background checks.
Exactly.
Come on. When you think of who would be most likely to do this, it's people like her, young women, and it just screams human trafficking to me. Like,
Right.
that's crazy. That's so... I just worried about people doing that. So her job included looking after the son morning to night and heating up his dinner. So pretty standard looking after a child stuff. Work
Okay, and what kind of a family would take a stranger from the internet into their home without a background check, without insurance, without all of that? The whole thing is freaking insane to me. It's insane. How risky is this? This is like a single white female type setup. So already, my spidey senses are tingling. Let's go.
working in a home stuff, right?
Part 2 of how and why I had to sneak out of my au pair family's house in Italy. Go check out part 1 because that explains a little bit more of the backstory.
Just
so I
seen
arrived
it.
in
We're
Italy
good.
Wednesday, April 2nd at 12 p.m. My host mom met me at the airport, picked me up, and we went back to their house. At this point, everything was good. I was still so excited to be there. We got home, I unpacked everything, and then we sat down to eat lunch. So this is the first red flag. At lunch, she starts ranting to me about her job. Apparently, she had been moved to a different position that was like lower. I honestly don't know. It was hard for me to understand a lot of the times. I just know that she was not happy. She got moved to a different position. But that was the first red flag. She already started.
Wait, why is that a red flag?
Exactly.
Why is that a red flag? I love talking to people about their jobs and complaining about it. Why is that a red flag? That's
And she's Italian. Come on, let's be honest.
like maybe it's just an English thing. Love discussing work and how terrible it is. I feel like you're making a connection there. I don't get why that's a red flag.
Putting her problems, just ranting to me, and I had just got there. So after lunch, I
was
settled in
developing a
little more,
rapport.
and then my host mom tells me to go with the host dad to the store so that I can get some food for breakfast and lunches for me. This is the second problem. This was a huge problem because the
Right.
host dad spoke no English
Okay.
Okay.
at all. He spoke as much English as I speak Italian, which is none. I can say ciao. This was one of the main problems because
You should probably have learned a little bit more. Not saying you should be fluent in Italian, but you should probably learn a little bit more considering you're going to live there with an Italian family.
Okay. All right. So this gives me an opportunity to get on my soapbox. Number one, if you are going to travel, or if somebody you know is going to travel to a foreign country to look after people's children, I think that if you only speak one language, that language being English, you should probably establish beforehand how many people in the family living under that roof speak English. Number two, so you see, these are questions that should have been asked, but she's young, and it just didn't even occur to her to ask these questions. Number two, it gives me an opportunity to preach, and I'm going to sound like my dad, my mom, my aunt, members of my family, who would constantly complain about how they didn't understand why every American is not required to learn a second language, and it can be any language, pick one. But why it is that Americans refuse to speak anything other than English. Like, if you learn another language, it opens up a whole new world. And the time to learn a different language is when you're young. That's when you can absorb it. So, anyway. So the girl went without speaking Italian. My question is, if she didn't speak Italian, why didn't she apply for an au pair position in an English-speaking country? She could have applied for a position in the UK and not gone through all this drama. All right. Let's continue.
They needed an au pair because the host dad is gone Monday through Thursday. He travels for his job, so he's gone Monday through Thursday. I was expecting the host mom to be teaching me these things, but instead I go to the store with the host dad. It's quite awkward because it's just silent. He can't speak to me, I can't communicate to him. When we're in the store, it's hard to communicate. We're just using Google Translate for everything. But we go to the store, we get the things we needed, and we get...
That sounds pretty easy.
Thank you, Jen.
Home. When we got home, the host mom wasn't there. I guess she had left to go to work. So it was me and the host dad again. And one of my jobs is picking up the host child from school. Instead of showing me how to use public transport or the way to walk to get to his school, he took the car, which, okay, it's the first day. I'm okay with that. I didn't think anything of it, honestly, but as the story goes on, you'll see the problem. When we got home, I played with the host child. We were playing blocks. The host dad tried to show me how to heat up his dinner, which it was very difficult because, again, there's a language barrier and the stoves, the oven, everything is different in a different country.
That's true. When I moved to the US, I was like, what the fuck is this? I figured it out. It doesn't take long, but you know, it is different.
Thank you, Jen, for the membership.
Child eats. I'm still playing with him. Host mom said she gets off of work 7:30, 8 at the latest, and we'd eat when she gets home, and she'd be cooking dinner for us every night. But about 9 o'clock, the host mom gets home from work. She doesn't seem happy about work and about her situation there. But I still didn't pick up these cues until a few days later. We eat dinner that, mind you, the host dad cooked for us, not the host mom. And then the host mom shows me what I need to be doing after dinner, put away the dishes, clean the pots and pans, wipe down the counters. None of this was an issue because I knew this was what I would be doing. After I did everything, I thought I was good to go to bed. It was pretty late at this point, but I said I was going to bed and she told me I needed to come bathe the host child. Which, one thing about me, I'm not good with confrontation, and I am not good at like sticking up for myself, so that was one of the issues as well, and that's on me. So I did it. I gave the host boy a bath. She like showed me how to do it, although I know how to bathe a child. She was just very particular about everything. Well, yeah, she's like everything had to be done her way. Or just like you might as well just not even do it. So that was my first day. I finally went to bed. Part 3 should be up now. So
I'm very particular about bathing my dogs, right?
Okay.
I would want it done my way. I want the feet first, then do the top, and then let it all rinse down. You know, I do it in a certain way, and then redo the feet with certain shampoos, because this dog's skin is like this. And so, and a child, I can't imagine. Of course, you would want to be extra particular. Here's what I'm getting here, that the host family don't seem to have any kind of schedule.
Right.
Written down or put into place. If I was to host someone who was looking after my child, I don't have a child, but just to say, perhaps the day the au pair lands and the day after, we could have it off, you know, get things ready, just show them around the house. This is like how we like to do things in the house. But then I would have like a trial, not a trial, but an example 3 days.
Right.
I would have taken it off work, first of all. And been like, hey, this is this time. This is how we get the kids to school. Back home, this is what I want you to do while you're here. Take a break at this time. I'll be at work during these hours. Okay, it's time to get the sun. Let's grab it. And then show them exactly what you want to do. You can't just assume that everyone knows how your family runs. And every family does things different, you know?
And there are, in fact, cultural differences. I remember when my parents and I traveled to Spain. We were staying in a hotel. And it was like, I don't know, maybe 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And my parents were sort of poddling around the hotel room, going over the guidebook of where it was that we were going to go the next day. We were in Majorca. And I was pretty young at the time. I was a pretty young teenager. And I remember looking at the clock, and then it's 8 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night. And I thought, are we going to have dinner? What's going on here? And it's because I was not aware of the fact that in Spain, people eat dinner very, very late. The first seating in the restaurant at the hotel wasn't until 10 p.m. That was the first seating at the restaurant. So I learned something. But when she talks about how, okay, well, this dinner, the dinner was served very late. I guess so. Maybe they eat dinner late in Italy too. The cafes seem to be popping in Rome and Milan and places like that, up and down the country. So I guess that Italy is another country where people eat late. But if you're not aware of that, like if you didn't do any research, it would probably take you by surprise. And God knows, American kids are not exactly that well versed when it comes to different cultures, right? Let's go.
Oh, every family does things completely different. There's no one set way to bathe your child or to cook your dinner or how you clean your kitchen. So I feel like the family have dropped the ball a little bit here also.
Yep.
And I just don't get the host ranting thing. Maybe it's a European thing.
It is.
Maybe we just like to complain. Complaining about things mutually is a great way to bond. Yeah, it was a bit crappy that she was asked to do so much just from getting there. Like I can't imagine that the jet lag is a real thing. But
ultimately, what I'm taking away from this entire story is that it was a series of stepping on rakes and poor communication. It was just one miscommunication after another. Now, I've only heard the girl's side of the story. I haven't heard the family's side of the story. But, Judy just made a correction earlier about what the girl was saying, which contradicts the actual story. But it was just one miscommunication after another, and the language barrier was not helpful. Let's continue.
But it also, none of it seems out of ordinary considering what she's signed up for so far.
Part 3 of my highly requested story time on how and why I had to sneak out of my au pair family's house in Italy. Thursday, April 3rd, my first full day in Italy. I woke up, got ready, went to the kitchen so that I could learn my morning tasks, what I'm supposed to be doing. I got up around 8 and the host dad and the host child come out into the kitchen. The host dad gives him his milk. Again, this is the problem. The host mom is the only one that speaks English here.
Yeah.
The host dad speaks as much English as I speak Italian, which is none. The host child doesn't speak English either. The host dad is trying to show me how to do these things, but there's this big language barrier here. So I just...
Yeah, see, listen, there's no issue about maybe speak two completely different languages. Of course, she can learn a little bit more Italian along the way.
Yeah.
But if a mum is the only person who can speak English in this situation and she wants things done a certain way, she should be up with them. And yes, have some time taken off work. Maybe she couldn't have afforded it. But if you want things done a certain way, you have to, priorities.
Agreed.
This is why I just didn't understand why she couldn't have been helping me. The host dad got him his milk, didn't show me how to heat it up, didn't show me how much I'm giving him, nothing like that. And the host mom was still sleeping. The host mom ended up getting up at around 8:20. By the time we were ready to leave to take him to school, it was late and we had to take the car again, which I still needed to learn how to use the public transport and or to walk the directions to get there. So we drive, take him to school. It's awkward, it's hard to communicate, but I do it. And then when I returned home, I decided to take a little nap. I was still jet lagged a little bit. So I took about a 2-hour nap and I wake up.
2 hours isn't a nap.
Oh, Robert, stop it.
When you're working, 2 hours isn't a nap.
To the host mom texting me, "Hi Ella, where are you?" So I get out of bed, I go into the kitchen and she's there. Also, I didn't understand this because I thought she was supposed to be at work. Like the things she says just aren't adding up. So she tells me that I should go walk around. So I'm like, okay, let me just get out.
Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. So if a mum didn't actually have anything for her to do, why is she like, get up and walk around?
So I make my...
Okay, yeah, twist my arm and force me to walk around Milan, of all places, What a dream.
Myself some lunch, and then I head out. This was my first full day in Milan. I did a vlog on it, so you can go look at that. You can see that I'm very happy. I was so happy when I was out of the house. I loved exploring the city I was in, and I loved meeting new people, but when I was in the house, I felt like trapped. I felt uncomfortable. It was just not what I...
It is an uncomfortable situation for a week.
Sure, you're living in somebody
if
else's
you've
house.
ever had a roommate, the first time you meet each other, it's very uncomfortable. That first night, you're like, do we turn off the lights? Do we talk? Like, you know, it's a very uncomfortable situation. And going into someone's house where they speak a completely different language,
Right.
I'm sure it's going to be very uncomfortable, but you'll get used to it.
was expecting at all. So when I got home, again, we drove to pick up the boy, and I was with the host dad again because the host mom had gone to work later. Don't know why. We got home. The host dad tried again to show me how to make his dinner. And then after he eats, we go into the living room, hang out. And the host dad goes to pick up the host mom from work. This is like...
Excuse me, may I make a suggestion? I don't know, maybe it's because I've traveled alone for years, and I've traveled abroad alone for years. What was preventing this girl from picking up a map to the Milan public transportation system and maybe sitting in bed and looking it over? I mean, keep in mind, Italian is written in the same alphabet as English. It's not like she was traveling in China or Moscow or Japan or something. Show some initiative, girly. Show some initiative. You know, when I was in London in 2019, I hadn't been in London in years. And I got my little map to the London Underground, and I figured out where shit was, and then I realized which stop I had to get off on. And you prepare. You prepare. I was going to travel to Italy in 2020, and then lockdown happened. And I was going to go to Rome, and I was going to go to Vatican City, and I looked at the maps of the Rome Underground, and it looked really easy to navigate. I could read the names of the stops. I knew where I wanted to go in Rome. Then I ended up, of course, not going. I still haven't been to Rome. But it's not that difficult, for God's sake. You know, you're not that young. I think that you should be capable of picking up a map and figuring out how to get from point A to point B.
8:30 at this point. They get back at like after 9:30. He doesn't have a far commute to work, so I was very confused about that part. Like, where did they go? Why did they leave me alone with him so long?
It is your job.
And
It
like,
is.
I'm just learning, and I barely learned anything because of this language barrier. I had to give him a bath again that night, which is fine. I would have done it and been happy doing it if it was what she had said I would be doing. But instead,
For fuck's sake, why can't you just whip out your phone and use a translating app? It's not that complicated. That way you would be able to communicate with the father at least. And if you have a question, ask. Ask a question.
she said I would be cleaning up after dinner while she gives him a bath because she wants to spend time with him because she's at work all day. That was day 2, but my first full day. Day 3 and 4 are really when I just couldn't take it anymore. So come back for day 3.
There seems to be a lot of language barriers, a lot
Right.
of confusion. This is why the host family should have given her a schedule.
Agreed.
Hour by hour, day by day, for a week. That's what I would have done. I don't think that's overly prepared. I think that's normal.
It
you
is.
know what I mean?
Part 4 of how and why I had to sneak out of my host family's house in Italy. Friday, April 4th. So this morning went exactly the same as the previous morning, except this morning I stood up for myself a little bit. I asked if we could please take public transport so I could learn how to do it, because
Yeah,
Monday
fair.
I would have been doing it by myself. So again,
Right.
the host dad and I take the host child to school, but we use public transport. So he's trying to show
Good.
me how to use public transport. We're just kind of looking at his phone because, again, the language barrier. If you go back in my other videos, you know that the number one problem is that the host mom isn't helping me at all. And
Okay.
she's the only one that speaks English. So we get back home. I had the day to myself. This was the day that I met up with the other girls, and it was super fun. I vlogged that day as well. At around 2 o'clock, I text the host mom asking what time I should be home so that we can go pick up the host child. And she she replies to me saying that the host dad's gonna pick him up and I didn't need to come home because, again, normally I would have my Friday afternoons off. I hang out with my friends a little longer and then I walk home. When I get home,
Nice.
I decided to call my parents. No one was home at that point. I called my dad and mom for the first time since I had been in Italy. I was very emotional. I got off the phone. I texted the host mom asking what time she'd be home, just because we'd been having dinner so late and I wasn't expecting that at all. Just
You
not
should
as
have
late as we
researched
were.
it.
We were having dinner like 9:30, 10, 10:30.
That's so
There you go.
late.
When she said we'd be having dinner 7:38. I texted her about 6 p.m. asking when she'd be home. She said about 10 minutes. So I get in the shower, I shower. At this point, the host dad and the host child were home. So I grab my Kindle and I go out to the couch and I hang out with the host child. He's playing, I'm reading. The host dad makes the host child dinner, gives him a bath, and then he's like still playing. At this point, it's like 9 p.m. The host mom is still not home. This is the first instance when my red flag alert immediately started going off. So she comes home a little bit after 9 p.m. I was still reading on the couch, hanging out with the host child. She comes into the living room and proceeds to raise her voice at me. She was not happy that I was sitting there reading. She asked me why the host dad was doing everything, why I wasn't helping him cook dinner,
Okay.
why I didn't bathe him, why I
not the day
wasn't
off?
playing with him, why I wasn't cleaning up his toys, all of these things. And I was just honestly confused. I apologized because that's just what I do. I apologized. I said, I'm sorry. This is maybe a miscommunication. I thought.
You know what would have solved this problem? Or you know what would have nipped this problem in the bud? A contract. A contract. And like Robert says, a schedule, point by point, a breakdown of what she was expected to do every day, at what time. And I find it really, really difficult to understand why there was this lackadaisical attitude when you brought this girl into your house to look after your child, who sounds very young. So why would you just assume that this girl has ESP and would know automatically? I mean, granted, the list of obligations or the list of duties was not that complex, and it wasn't that involved or that long even. But this is massive miscommunication, and everybody was unprepared. And I also have to add, it doesn't sound like this girl is very interested in children. So she didn't have that motivation, you know? But again, let's continue.
That I had off. You had told me I didn't have to go
Yeah.
pick him up from school. I'm sorry. And she kind of just said, you need to be paying attention, and then just walked away. Anywho, that night we eat dinner. I cleaned up, and then we had a tablecloth on the table that we didn't have previously. So I asked her. She was sitting on the couch. Table's here. Couch, table. I asked her what I can do with the tablecloth, and she tells me to ask the host dad. I just couldn't understand why she couldn't have just told me what to do with the
Yeah, that is
tablecloth,
confusing.
and why I had to go ask the host dad. When the host dad doesn't
speak English.
Oh my gosh. So that was so frustrating for me. Saturday was the day that I just realized I needed to leave. I was not comfortable at all. There's a lot to say about Saturday, so come back for part 5. It should be up, if not now, in a few minutes.
Okay, so yeah, the host's mum is raising her voice at Ella when she was on her scheduled day off. That's understandable. I would be uncomfortable. Again, there should have been some super, super clear instructions for something like this. Your day off means what? Does it mean you just don't go and pick them up from school? Does it mean you don't make dinner? As much as some things can just be, figure it out on the job and be more intuitive or active, the host family can't expect 24/7 free manual labor either. So she says after this day,
Well, sadly, having seen some au pair horror stories, families do expect that. They basically turn these girls into slaves. I mean, not all the families do that, but their expectations for these girls, given how low the weekly stipend is, can be very, very unrealistic, and these families can be quite demanding. So none of this needed to turn out this way. None of it did. But I would advise this girl that if she ever wanted to do this au pair thing again, apply for a position in the UK. But before you do that, then there will be no language barrier. But but before you do that, really think through whether or not you want to travel to the UK and look after a kid. Because it doesn't sound like she's really that keen, you know?
She knew she wanted to leave. I get it's a little bit uncomfortable. I do see that. It could just be, again, the just how the mum is, but I wouldn't feel comfortable in someone's house that was like screaming at me when they haven't actually given me, or even raising their voice, giving me great instruction. You know what I mean? Okay, let's see what happened.
Part 5 of my story time on why and how I had to sneak out of my au pair family's house in Italy. Saturday, April 5th, this day was the day that broke me. I just want to remind everyone that Friday afternoon, Saturday, and Sunday were my days off. I chose to spend it with them that day. We were going to Portofino. They were going to show me around Portofino.
Beautiful.
I woke up at 8:15, got ready for the day, and was out and ready to leave by 9. The night before, the host mom had told me we were leaving no later than 9 as it is a 2-hour drive to Portofino and we want to get there early. So she walks out of her room at a little past 9 in her pajamas. She had just gotten up, gotten out of bed. And honestly, this like really annoyed me because I was tired too. She had me up late the last night. She slept in and I was ready at 9. Okay. I didn't say anything. Of course I didn't. She got ready. I dressed the host child and we left. Got focaccia for lunch, which was really good. This was at about 12. Afterwards, we went to a beach and we sat there for about 3 to 4 hours. So after the beach, we got up, we walked around. This was about 5 p.m. And then host mom decided she wanted to stop at another pretty town. We went there, we walked around a lot. I will say, I was being left with the host child a lot. He's a slow walker, so they were walking way in front of me and I wasn't gonna just leave the child, so I was...
And this is the thing, it's her day off. So shouldn't the parents be looking after the kid more, or is she expected to still, I mean, if you're around a child, you're looking out for their welfare anyway, right? You're making sure they're not in trouble. But to be left alone completely with the child, that's not day off,
I was walking with him, either holding his hand, or at times I'd pick him up and we'd run to catch up with them. But they were just kind of like ignoring me and just leaving me with him. Again, it was my day off, but
it also sounds like there's a lot of passive-aggressive behavior going on in this dynamic, doesn't it? I think that the mother at this point had already gotten fed up with this girl. But I'll leave my thoughts until the end.
Chose to be there with them. So the next part is where everything just changed for me and I realized I just needed to get out of there. We leave at around 8 p.m. The host dad pulls the car around. I get in the car. The host mom puts the host child in the seat and we get honked at because we're just sitting in the middle of the road. Duh.
Yeah.
I would honk too. And immediately the host mom snaps at me. She gets into the car, raises her voice at me again, saying that I wasn't paying attention. I haven't been helping at all today and I'm not like learning. First off, I was pushing the stroller at least half that day. I held his hand. I carried him. I stayed back with him while they were way ahead of us. So I was paying attention. You were not paying attention. Just snaps at me and I just wasn't understanding. But I was just like, okay. I just kept saying okay. There was no point in arguing with her.
Yeah.
So at this point, I decided I wanted to leave. I changed my flight to the next day. I do want to say I didn't tell them that I wanted to leave for multiple reasons. One, I felt uncomfortable. I didn't necessarily feel safe. Two, the host dad's job, I'm not gonna say a lot of details. It was something in a field that like made me uncomfortable. And
okay, now this is where we're starting to get into this Gen Z mindset, right? What do you mean you felt unsafe? I swear to God, the way that these kids toss around the word unsafe, never mind. Now, of course, the internet being the internet, people track the family down. People went on that au pair. People went on that au pair website, and by process of elimination, they found the family. You know what the host dad does for a living? He's a fitness instructor with the Italian military. What in the world about being a fitness instructor with the Italian military would make you feel uncomfortable? What did you think this man was going to do to you? Make you do pull-ups? I mean, you know, and this is what I can't stand. You know, she knows that at this point the story is getting a little bit boring, okay? And she knows that a lot of people are going to judge her and say, you cut out too quickly, you didn't put in enough effort, or you could have done XYZ. And so now she has to bring in this bullshit fake drama. And this is when she lost me. Because up until now, she had given absolutely no indication that at any time when she was sleeping under their roof, that she felt that the dad was a threat. Yeah, the mom is a little shouty. All right, it's Italy, okay? But never did she give the impression that she was going to be in trouble. You know, this is not an Amanda Knox situation. In other words, you know? So, what the fuck? All right, let's continue.
Kind of made me a little bit scared. And
What could that be? That she'll be uncomfortable to say she wants to leave? Like, what are you scared they're gonna do?
Right.
I didn't know how she would react. I
She'd
decided
probably
that
yell
I just
at you.
needed to get out of the house. I felt super trapped. On the car ride back home, we get stuck in massive standstill traffic. I was exhausted,
Yeah,
so I
it's
fell
Milan.
asleep in the car. And then the host mom wakes me up, and she turns around, she raises her voice again, and starts telling me that I need to be reading to the host child. I need to be
Her day off.
teaching him English, interacting with him, and again, paying attention. At this
Okay, I'm sorry, but if teaching the child English had been a part of the original list of duties and expectations, she would have known that. But it seemed like one of the problems was that the mom was making up the rules as she went along. And so this girl was going to be in a constant state of, I can't make this woman happy. And I understand how frustrating that is. I've worked for people like that, where they think that you have to read their mind, and they get very angry and impatient when they assume that you're going to do something that you don't know you're supposed to be doing, especially when you're brand new on the job. And in order to teach you, they shout at you. It sucks. I agree. Again, all of this could have been solved if there had been a contract. And like Robert said, an itemized, detailed schedule, breaking down hour by hour what this girl was supposed to be doing, and if the mom had taken a day or two off work, to be able to train her. It's not too much to ask. This girl is looking after your child, for God's sake. So there's a lot of oversight, negligence, and, you know, it's a mess. It's a mess.
point, again, I was just so tired. I had a massive headache. I just wanted to get out of there. By the time I got home, it was around 11:20. That night is the night that I packed everything back up. And then in the morning, as y'all saw, I left. That is why I left. I did feel very uncomfortable there. I felt trapped. I had a really bad gut feeling. I just needed to get out. And that's my reasoning to why I had to leave. I want to thank everyone that has been supportive of me and choosing to leave, to trust my gut. That was my story, my experience. I hope you all enjoyed.
Okay, I think I've seen this original video. I need to try and find it because it's deleted. But I think she's sneaking out in the middle of the night. Now, I thought her life was in danger when I first saw this, right? I was assuming, I was waiting for something really terrible to happen, like the dad was...
Of course you did, Robert dear, because that was the impression she wanted to give, pumping up the drama. Or maybe she really was scared for absolutely no reason. Maybe she was traumatized. I don't know. I can't figure these kids out at all.
And to break into her room, the mum hit her, something like this. Yes, it's a very uncomfortable situation. It seems very uncomfortable, and it seems like the parents kind of had no idea, like the host mother, the host dad, did actually seem like the two little bitches, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sounds like a regular stressed out family. I think this whole situation is miscommunication and not understanding, right?
Exactly.
No one understands what day off means. No one understands what, you know, what should be done every single day. The host family needs to come up with a proper schedule, saying on her day off to be teaching her English, to be teaching the child English, reading to them. She's not a maid. We're expecting her to be a maid, a nanny, a teacher. It is very, very full on and very, very intense. And the whole thing about the dad, his job, made her feel uncomfortable. I would love to know what that was. So anyway, after her experience with a host family, she made the video that went viral, where in the middle of the night, she took off and got on first flight home she could and sent the host family a long text explaining why she left. We've heard the story time, and naturally the attention this got was outrageous. A lot of comments from the original video were the typical ignorant American type, calling her like childish and lazy, and that she needed to do more research before choosing to do a job like this, which she says she did. And actually, to be fair, the research she was doing, how can she research what every single individual family member wants? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of crazy.
Well, she could have pulled up the map of the Milan public transportation system. That she could have done. But I don't think she did any research at all. I think that she saw Milan and she got starstruck, as anybody would, who wouldn't want to spend 3 months in Milan living with a family, doing relatively little work and having, free time to meander about and eat gelato and drink espresso and eat beautiful sandwiches and great food and all that. But okay.
Do you have some comments? This person says, as a current au pair in the EU, I don't think she genuinely understood the dynamics of being an au pair. It sounds like it's just fun times and vibes, which it can be if you're well prepared. I agree, but I also disagree. I mean, if this person's an au pair, she knows, but what's the situation? Can you tell us? Do you have a full day off, or is it day off but still look after the child, Mum doesn't disappear for work. She goes to work.
Right.
And you don't have to train a nanny on her responsibilities. That's true. A lot of it could be common sense, but the mum likes it a particular way, so show her that particular way. I'm on the au pair side. The host family was crossing boundaries, feeling entitled to her labour outside of the established times, and being unkind all in the first week. It would just get worse. I think it would get better, to be honest with you. Girl, just from an Italian perspective, dinner was supposed to be at 8:30, 9 o'clock is a stretch, but no Southern European eats at 6. I'm not Southern European, am I? Because I will eat at 6. Both parties had no idea what to do. I agree. She was left with a child. That's literally her job as an au pair. But I think she meant on the days when she was meant to have a day off, she was being left with a child. Is that the job? Is that the role? Is that what is expected? I don't think she deserved all the hate. I think both the parent and the au pair in this situation should have been more prepared. And we also got some funny satire videos from the situation.
What? I can't understand you. I can't understand you.
This is so accurate.
You want me to take care of the kid? Ugh, why did you even have a kid if you're going to get me to take care of it? I'm trying to get the perfect shot of my Aperol and book. Do you have like a stick to play with?
Stop it. This is
great. Do you speak English? No one speaks American around here. It is so weird. You're going to work. It's 10 in the morning. Oh my God, you guys, my host family is in the mafia.
I love it.
What do you mean I have to pick the kids up from school? I was gonna go wander around the cobblestones and get some clips for content. Can you believe this? They're walking ahead of me and I have the kid. Sorry. If the kid gets kidnapped, not my responsibility.
Perfect.
Also, I really wanted to go into Dolce & Gabbana and they wouldn't let me.
Uh-oh.
Talk about a dictatorship. I'm gonna go take a nap. Can you 2-year-olds take care of yourselves? Just don't go near the stove. No stove. Parlez-vous anglaise, no stove. Oh, you guys will figure it out for yourselves.
It's a weird one because you have to be careful when you go to another country as a younger girl, of course. The way she was saying it, I had to sneak out the house. I had to. You didn't have to.
No, you didn't have to.
You could have just left. What's the worst that was going to happen? They scream at you a little bit.
Right.
You didn't have to sneak out the house. It's immaturity mixed from both sides.
Yep.
Being unprepared, not knowing the job title because you're not being told what the job entails. It's a bit of a confusing one. I don't think she deserved that much hate. She wasn't that ignorant. You know what I mean? All right, let me know your opinions though. Let me know, are you an au pair? What's the deal? What's happening? All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye, Robert. I guess that the only question that I have about this story, why did this story go viral? It's not a very interesting story, is it? I mean, she teased this possibility that, she had to run for her life and that she was afraid of the dad because reasons. And then, of course, once people did some investigating and found out what the dad does for a living, they realized, wow, this girl is such a drama queen. So idiotic, trying to pump up a non-story with a bunch of people who don't know how to communicate with each other into, like, some fucking James Bond movie, some sort of intrigue. Ridiculous. Now, we have one more piece of video. Look, I have announced multiple times that there's certain content that I am not interested in. And it's content that seems to be very, very popular at the Mo. And I don't want to get involved because I am not interested in any of the characters who are participants in said drama. But I ran across this video and I thought, we're going to take a look at it since we're dumping on Gen Z today. I thought this is a great example. This is a great example. So yet again, we have a combination of Gen Z, content creator, entitlement, and overall silliness, self-importance, inability to read the room, and just somebody being very annoying. Okay? I'm going to put you on pause for a sec, and I will be back in a shake. Just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, we've got some girl world stuff. Yes, I know. I do not watch these content creators. I don't care about their views on Amberlynn Foodie or anything else. Not interested. I am not impressed in any way, shape, or form with any of the current crop of, excuse me, reactors. I tend to keep abreast of them on Reddit, but I can't watch their content. I think that they're all incredibly annoying. Quite a few of them are very mean-spirited. They're going IRL. They're making up lies. And I cannot stand them. Okay? But this one caught my attention. Now, what do you do? What do you do when you are a relatively new content creator? You want to, jump in the deep end in girl world, but you see that you are surrounded by dozens, if not hundreds of other channels, many of which have been around for quite some time. and are doing quite well and already have established communities, established audiences. These creators have already developed relationships with one another. And so they share audiences, they bring each other up on panel, and you are very, 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 very late to the game. But you have convinced yourself that jumping into this community is an easy way to make money. And then you discover, guess what? It isn't. Because there are too many people around who have been around for too long, who know the lore inside and out. And now you have to figure out a way to pierce the static. You have to figure out a way to get attention. So really, and it doesn't matter which community it is, the easiest way to get attention when you're brand new is to go absolute ham. Okay? Really go extreme. Go extreme. Well, that's exactly what this girl, It's Only Journey, did. Now, I remember before Garlic Bread and Bridget and Gigi and all these people decided that they were going to use her as kind of like, I don't know, like a cat toy, I guess. I remember I first saw this girl on Yo Mama's channel. And what I remember the most about her was her eyebrows, because her eyebrows are a lot. And Yo Mama was pointing out over and over again how mean she was. I mean, really mean. Like, she went right out of the gate. And, I mean, just went for broke. Didn't even pretend that she cared about anybody's health or that she wanted to give, like, fitness tips or any of that shit. Absolutely not. She went right at, you big fat bitch. You know what I mean? That was the approach that she took. She caught Yo Mama's attention, which meant that she caught the attention of his audience. And I know that Yo Mama's views are off and that his channel is not doing as well as it was before. But he had a lot of creators in his audience, and they all took a look at her and said, what the fuck? Because she's also very young. So, she has been involved in this whole drama where she hasn't been around that long. She doesn't have that many subscribers. Her views aren't good, but she decided that she was going to come online and tell this whole story about how her life is in danger and she's living with a narcissist and her pets are in danger and she needs to move out immediately, much like the girl that we just watched, right? And certain people were watching and saying, wait a second, you've literally been in this community for 5 minutes and you're already going out and begging for money on your channel. And again, this is a girl who says that she has a job, but she needed emergency funds to be able to get out immediately. Okay. This has turned into a giant shit show. All of it. She is hardly the first grifter in the community that has sounded the alarm about having some pressing emergency that required them to get their audience to pay for their escape. And she will not be the last. I hate to break it to you. But I saw this video, and I saw it on the farms, and I thought, all right, you guys, we've got to watch it, because it really dovetails nicely with that au pair video that we just watched. And I always side-eye people who claim to have a job and who do this content, this girl world content, as a hobby, but they periodically go on their channel and they e-beg and they say the sky is falling, and if they don't get X amount of money in a certain period of time, it's curtains for them. It's over. You know, the channel's going away, or there's going to be some major crisis, or something's going to go wrong. And it reminds me very much, I don't know if you guys remember the televangelist, I think it was Oral Roberts, who was trying to raise money to build some, super church. And he was trying to emotionally blackmail his congregation into giving him money by saying that if he hadn't raised the money by a certain period of time, that the good Lord was going to call him home, I would have put that to the test. I would have said, nobody donate a dime, and let's see if at the appointed hour the guy is raptured, or if he's struck by lightning, or if something happens to him. Anyway, it's an old school televangelist trick. I have seen it utilized so many times in this community. So many times. And now this girl is doing it. So, let's watch this video, because I swear to God, I have seen some of her other content, and I do not think that she is funny. I don't think she's talented. I think she's pretty mean-spirited. I don't know how much longer she's going to be around. I guess it depends on how much money she can make off of the suckers. But when I saw this video, I fell out. I died laughing, because she hits every fucking cliche that I have seen in not just this community, but in other communities. It's absolutely, I don't know if these people have a playbook. I don't know if they have a template, but this girl has really, she's on to something. All right, let me make sure. Yep, there she is. You see what I mean about the eyebrows? I don't like to focus on this stuff, but let's be honest, the eyebrows are shocking. Okay. So after she was dragged from pillar to post for her e-begging and for trying to frighten her audience into donating to her fund so that she could move out, she received some criticism. We're about to see how much criticism she received. Now, if you are going to start a channel where your main content is roasting people, then you need to have a very thick skin, because you are stepping into the octagon. So expect that people are going to come for you. Now, you have a couple of ways of dealing with it. Either you delete your channel, you decide this is it, it's not for me, I'm not built for this, I'm getting out. Or you decide that you're going to ride the wave and you're going to exploit the hate viewers that you're getting, and you are going to encourage people to sub to you. You're going to use it to get views. You're going to boost your engagement, all of that. Well, this girl, we'll see what she did. All right, so let's go ahead and watch this video. Let's go.
Hey guys, it's Only Journey here, and I hope you're all having a wonderful whatever time it is for you. I wanted to come on here and address some of my behavior and my misjudgments from the last couple of days, and I also wanted to give you guys an update on the moving situation. I wanted to bring these things up because I have been called out for these things in my comment sections, and I did just want to address them.
Okay.
The first two things go hand in hand.
We love an accountability queen. We do. But now we're going to see whether she is accountable or not. Now, I don't need to point out the obvious, but I think I will anyway. This girl is very young. She's very young. And the thing that fascinates me about this generation of kids, they grew up with social media. They know the game. They know how it works. And for some reason, every single time that they get caught with their pants down, not literally, obviously, but when they get caught doing something shady online and trying to get cute and they get backlash, it's always surprise Pikachu face. Always. Never fails. So let's continue.
And being accused of deleting comments, and you know, for somebody who dishes it, I sure can't take it, and that is true. Yeah. I have been doing that. On my last update video, which has been privated, I was deleting some of the harsher comments that I did see, which, you know, regardless of how those comments made me feel, that was wrong. I shouldn't have done that.
Why? You see, this is the kind of thing that drives me crazy. It is your channel to run as you please. Okay? I remember, I think it was in 2022, when people were accusing me of deleting comments. You're goddamn right I was deleting comments. There was a period where I was being inundated by abusive, rude, and nasty comments, and in fact, so many of them that my comments section was turned into content by content creators who did not like me and were trying to encourage a dogpiling of my channel. Yeah, you're fucking right, I was deleting comments. If somebody comes into my comments section and comes at me sideways and accuses me of things, or lies about me, or threatens me, or does something like that, I don't delete comments like I used to. But it is entirely my prerogative, and it is the prerogative of every content creator to not have to put up with bullshit in your comments section. Just like it is the prerogative of every content creator to be able to block whomever they please in chat. And there is absolutely no reason for anyone to explain to the audience why they did this. The only thing is, yeah, I did that, and. That's the response. That's the response. Then people would actually respect you. Say, wow, this bitch stands on business. Okay. All right. But if you're going to come out here, all that's missing is the hoodie. And she didn't swing by the kitchen and pick up the onions to wave under her eyes to squeeze out some fake tears. Who cares? Say, fuck yes, I deleted the comments. Yeah, I blocked people. Yeah, I blocked that bitch. And? Maybe she'll learn, maybe she won't.
And I genuinely am sorry for doing those things. I deleted about 3 comments. I can't remember all of them. I remember
3 comments. 3 comments. She deleted 3 comments. And see, this is the thing, whatever your name is, Journey. The trolls are going to hop on that, and they're going to poke at you, and then they're going to make you sit down and make an embarrassing video like this. And you will then be a cow. You cannot allow, and this is not meant to be an insult to anybody who's watching me or anybody in the chat right now. You cannot allow your audience to control you. Now, there's a difference between the audience giving you constructive criticism or saying, you know, it would be really cool if you covered this topic, or I didn't like the language you used when you were talking about whatever. That's fine. Oh, I am well aware, Ghost of BBJ. I am well aware. The audience can do that. Absolutely. If they're genuinely trying to improve your channel, if they're genuinely trying to improve you as a content creator, they're genuinely interested in your take on some issue, that's fine. But when somebody comes in and is like, why are you deleting comments? Because it's my channel. You know, start your own channel where you don't delete comments and you don't block anybody. See how well that works out for you. But anyway, this was a bad move, because what this proved was that you are easily swayed by public opinion. You get 3 negative comments, you delete them, which is entirely up to you. And then people criticize you for it, so you feel that you have to come out and do this ridiculous apology video. It is entirely unnecessary. Stop it. Okay, let's continue.
kind of about 2 of them. The first one was calling me undignified for asking for help, and
okay.
I mean, yeah, I can understand that criticism. I sure don't feel dignified asking for help, and I feel embarrassed asking for it, and I mean, that's an understandable criticism. And I did get a lot of criticism of, you know, Journey, you can dish it, but you can't take it.
That's
and that
true.
is 100% the truth.
It is true.
I do have thin skin. I am working on that. I am very sorry for anybody who I let down with that, because I do feel like I disappointed a lot of people.
What do you mean a lot of people? This girl gets like 100 views on a video. Where are these lots of people that were disappointed? I mean, this is the other thing that kills me is that these tiny little channels have this overinflated sense of importance. Like, oh my God, I am so sorry I let you all down. Who are all these people that you're letting down? That's preposterous. No, you got a bunch of trolls in your comments section, or a bunch of trolls or you saw comments in other people's chats and you fell for it. Don't allow the trolls to steer the direction of your channel or how you behave. So, I mean, obviously within reason. You can't please everybody, okay? It's the internet. Let's continue.
It was very hypocritical of me, and I have said in several of my videos that I hate hypocrisy, and I hate that I have been hypocritical, and I do want to apologize for that, because yeah, you guys are right. In quite a few instances, I can dish it, but I can't take it, and that is something that I need to work on. And
now keep in mind that this girl's commentary on Amberlynn Reid was exceptionally mean-spirited. Exceptionally. Those comments that she talked about, that she deleted, those were very gentle. The shit that she has said about Amberlynn is nasty. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Very, very judgmental. Very, very rude. And now here she sits.
It's something that I am working on. I also didn't mean to minimize other people's struggles when I said that I was drowning. I meant kind of drowning emotionally. I think a lot of people took it as drowning monetarily, which, I mean, a lot of people are. We are in a horrible financial crisis at the...
Why not both? How is that a problem? Why would you saying that you're drowning, either spiritually, financially, or both, have any impact on a person you don't know on the internet? I don't get it. That's just retarded. Again, don't fall for the old okie doke. This is a classic tactic to poke at a creator to get them to react, and so then you can make content out of it. Come on.
Moment, but that's not the point. I didn't mean to minimize people's struggles by saying that I was drowning. I meant I was drowning emotionally. I didn't mean to offend anybody by saying that, and I truly am sorry.
Sorry for what?
I would never want to minimize anybody's struggles. I am aware that all of us have our own struggles. All of us are going through something, and you truly don't understand how hard somebody's life is. I can't understand how hard some of my subscribers' lives are. And at the end of the day, it was a poor choice of words, and I regret that poor choice of words. That
is ridiculous. Why are you apologizing for that? I mean, if somebody had come into your chat and said, and you had said to them, oh, well, my life is worse than yours because I need to find a crash pad, place to live, whatever. And that person said, yeah, but I have all these medical bills, or I'm dealing with an elderly parent that I have to look after, and it's a big responsibility, or I don't know. Just think of something. Pick a struggle, right? And you had said, yeah, but I need to find an apartment. You know, if you had done something stupid and entitled like that, that would have been one thing. You used a choice of words that was not offensive in the least. And the only people who would claim to be offended by that are SJWs, spineless, weak people, or trolls, just to get a rise out of you. You're apologizing for all the wrong shit. What are you doing?
I'm not very good at apologies. I'm trying my best to learn how to do them. I genuinely am sorry for deleting the harsher comments that I was getting.
Those weren't even harsh comments. Stop apologizing for running your channel the way you see fit. It's not going to end up getting you anywhere good, trust me. Because now people know that this is your weakness and they're going to come after you. And they are going to troll you mercilessly. I would start blocking people. I don't think that deleting comments is enough, although I do think that those comments were very mild and you need to grow the fuck up. But if you see that people are trolling you and trying to push you around and tell you how to run your channel, I would just block them. Because this is a bad trend. You don't want to get on this track.
I understand 100% it's people's opinion, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have just ignored those comments. I should have just sat back and said, you know what, screw it. That's their opinion. I can't do anything about it. Instead, I opted to silence those people, and I feel very guilty for that.
Oh, for God's sake.
I also feel horrible about being a hypocrite because, I mean, I talk a lot about how I don't like hypocrisy, and here I am being a hypocrite.
Okay, I could give a fuck less about hypocrisy because, let's be honest, okay? All these people who run around crowing about hypocrisy, and we can't stand hypocrisy, and we don't like hypocrisy, and all that, are hypocrites themselves. They have had a long track record of being hypocrites themselves. And a lot of these people have gotten up to a lot of fuck shit behind the scenes. See, what I don't like, I don't give a fuck if you're a hypocrite. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, people will tag you, they'll spot you anyway. So what difference does it make? What I don't like is the fact that the community has taken a turn and gone in the direction of going IRL, contacting the authorities, lawfare, trying to get kids removed from homes, trying to contact people's family members. That's what I don't like. That's what I don't like. If some idiot is online being a hypocrite, what difference does it make to me? I spot it, I make a note, I move on. So what? And we all have a bit of hypocrisy in us, don't we? Yeah, we all do. But the way that some of these content creators go on and on and on, oh my God, this person's a hypocrite. Really? I'm more concerned that the person that you're calling out for hypocrisy is somebody who has lied to make money under false pretenses on the platform. Somebody who has manipulated their donors and their subscribers and taken advantage of kind-hearted people who like to tune in to their streams just to be entertained or to socialize with one another. I am more concerned with, like I said, with people who reach out to family members over stupid internet beefs, who invade one another's privacy, who go after each other's children, who try to ruin people's reputations, who form alliances and pick out attention-seeking content creators who are willing to listen to every bit of horseshit that is poured into their ear in order to get attention, especially if the accusations that they then make on their channels are directed at people that they know the community doesn't like and won't defend. That's what bothers me. Hypocrisy does not bother me at all. And I find that the community's hang up on hypocrisy is very weird and very misplaced. There are much, 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 much bigger problems.
And I am going to work on that. Thank you for calling me out. Thank you for noticing my lack of brain cells in that moment. I can't find the right words right now. But moreover, thank you for the criticism. That's all I wanted to say. I wanted to say that I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have done those things. I shouldn't have been deleting comments. I should have
for God's
realized
sake,
that I was being hypocritical. I should have been more strict with myself on that, and I am very sorry. And again, I am also very sorry for minimizing people's struggles. I didn't mean to do that whatsoever.
You didn't.
Sorry, we're in a bathroom at work, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm not lying about the abuse. I'm not. And I'm really sorry that if this appears thin-skinned, but I've been reading a lot of comments about it right now, and it's just really got to me. I'm not lying about it. She's threatened to hurt me and my animals.
Okay, I am assuming that by she means her mother. If your mother is threatening to hurt you, call the police. Don't go to the internet unless you are using this story as a way to prey on the good nature and the sympathy of your audience to give you money. Go to the police. Go to a relative. Go stay with a friend. I am tired of this shit. Oh my God, I'm in so much danger. I need my audience to save me. Come on now. This is something she's going to learn the hard way. If you're that afraid, then get the authorities involved. But I'm sorry, I have seen way too many people, not just in this space, but in other spaces, who turn on the waterworks or squeeze out a few tears or whatever, and only come to find out shortly thereafter that they're full of shit. I'm not saying she is, I'm just saying we've all seen these fake apologies. We've all seen these pleas for, you know, please come rescue me, come save me, whatever. It's cringe. Stop it. And based on her accent, I guess she's in Canada. Is that where she is? And no, fresh garbage. It doesn't mean I want to dox her. I was just pointing out her accent. I'm assuming that Canada would have more resources than other parts of the world. I don't know. But let's continue.
And I'm scared. And I can't say specifics right now, but she's threatened to have people essay me.
Wait a minute. Your mother has threatened to have people SA you? Is that right? You see, if I lived in the house with somebody who made a threat like that, I would leave immediately and I would disappear. I would go stay with anyone. I would go and take shelter with a friend, with anybody, a relative who I would swear to secrecy. And I would, yes, exactly. If this is true, then mom needs to be committed or arrested or both. I don't know. The internet cannot help you. You know, I don't know how many of you have been around long enough to remember, oh, God damn it. Oh, God, this is so bad. You know, I was talking to the auto dealership earlier, and I was explaining to the guy, ever since I smacked my head on the steering wheel, my brains are like scrambled eggs. There used to be a woman who would appear in different chats. And she had Daffy Duck. Do you remember Daffy Duck, you guys? So this woman, she used to appear in the Geek Room chats. She used to appear in the chats of a number of different communities. She was in my chat briefly. She was in other chats as well. And, you know, in Girl World also, not just the Shantyverse, but also Girl World. And this woman would get online and upload videos where she would say that her husband was going to kill her, that her life was in danger. And then at one point, Donald Duck, thank you. Thank you, Donald Duck. Nicole with the win. I appreciate you. And then at one point, she contacted Frank from the Geek Room and she suicide baited. And she said, you know, my life is such a disaster. And she was a very generous donor, by the way. But she was a big drama, this woman. And she contacted Frank and she said, yeah, I'm going to kill myself. I mean, it was very point blank, period. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And Frank panicked because we didn't know, either, you know, in the Geek Room or his community or any of these communities, nobody knew her name. Nobody knew where she lived. Although I think that people figured out that she was Mormon or something. I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. But she would go online and upload these videos where she would make it sound like the husband was after her kids, that her life was in imminent danger. There you go. Constant trauma dumping. constant trauma dumping. And, Frank and I were, getting along back then. And he told me, and I think he may have even said this publicly, he's like, what the hell are you supposed to do when a stranger who has been following your channel and is a subscriber, a member, whatever, contacts you and tells you that they're going to end it? And, Frank was, put in a position where he had to say, look, I don't know who you are. I don't know how to help you. And I think Petty Fam got involved. It was a drama, you guys. It was a drama. So it is, and the woman was deeply mentally ill. I mean, those of you who remember her know exactly what I'm talking about. And eventually, hello, Rachel. And eventually she kind of disappeared. But at that point, she had overstayed her welcome because there were some very kind people and they wanted to help her. But it seemed like every time they would try to help her, she would, grow another problem, 2, 3, 4, however many. And there comes a point with people, whether they're in your audience or whether they're content creators, if they constantly come online and claim that their life is in danger, that they are losing the will to live, blah, 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 you just have to block it out. It's too much. I used to have one viewer who used to come in and constantly trauma dump, and I am talking major crises. I'm not going to give up details because I don't want to give this person's identity away. But I finally had to be a little bit tough love, and I had to start ignoring that person because she would come in and she would say, oh my God, this happened today. And the whole chat would start comforting her and being kind to her. And I don't even know if it was true. That's the other problem. But it's a very manipulative tactic. If you genuinely feel that you are in danger, that you're having a problem, the last place that you should turn to for help is a fucking chat in Girl World or the Shantyverse, or reaching out to content creators who don't know who the fuck you are, and can't call 911 and can't contact people in your life because they don't know you. So what is it that you expect people to say? You just want attention. And that's sad. And that's very, very sad. All right, enough of that. Let's continue.
She's threatened to have people physically assault me. She's told me she's wanted me to end my life. She's told me she's threatened my other parent and my other family members that she would end my life. And apparently there are some people in Girl World that have a habit of lying about abuse, and I want everyone to know that that's fucking disgusting.
There are people in Girl World who have a habit of lying about everything. Everything. Other people, other content creators, audience members, making false accusations, false allegations of crimes committed, suggesting that there's certain people who are involved in like gay ops or whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah, there are plenty of those. There's no shortage of those.
That is generally disgusting, and nobody should be doing that. But that is never something I would do because I have morals, and that is so fucked up.
So on to the update. I
here we go. What a transition.
To everybody who has donated, because genuinely, you guys are what's keeping me from being homeless, and also
wait a minute. Whoa. Flag on that play. Flag on that play. What do you mean homeless? What do you mean homeless? So you said your mom has threatened your dad. So your dad is in your life. You have family members in your life. Presumably you have friends, right? Isn't she involved in some kind of a throuple? Doesn't she have like a girlfriend and a boyfriend or something? I don't know. I mean, the other problem with this girl is that she overshares like crazy on her channel. So why would you become homeless? Why would you be homeless? You've got two significant others, I guess, if that's still a thing in your life. You've got your dad. You've got the family. Why would you end up on the street? Bye, Jen. Thank you for being here. You know, I resent this. I resent this catastrophizing, because she knows she's not telling the truth. She knows it. She knows that she may not have the widest support system. She may not have a huge channel or whatever, but she does have people in her real life who could take her in. I feel, I don't know. I think that this girl is pushing it. It's not cute.
My cats, which I didn't want to do whatsoever. The only other options would be to keep my cats at my mom's house, and she has threatened to hurt them on multiple occasions.
Okay,
so I
get
do
the
not
cats
feel
out
safe
then.
keeping the cats there. I'm starting to move in tomorrow. We're bringing in the bigger furniture items.
Oh, that was quick.
And that's going to be great. Some of the furniture items my friend's roommate is leaving behind, so I have a frame for a mattress. Just need to get a mattress. And I have lots of room there. And I'm just really excited in general for you guys to see what I am going to be, you know, what my room's going to be looking like and what the studio is going to look like. And, you know, making videos for you guys, making more videos, not just Amberlynn related videos.
Oh.
Because, I mean, I like covering Amberlynn. I feel like I've been way too soft on her recently.
Way too soft on her recently. Okay, well, in fairness, I haven't seen this girl's videos, but the ones that I've seen are blistering and very nasty and below the belt.
Though, so that's changing as well. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I truly am thankful, because without this, like without the help that I've been receiving from you guys, I genuinely wouldn't be able to do this. I know in my last video that I privated that I was talking about how, you know, if I stayed with my mom, I would not be alive very much longer.
Okay, see, if I were in this position, if what this girl is saying is true, I would have left a long time ago. I would have moved in with my dad. I would have moved in with my fucking polycule or whatever the hell it is. I would have found a friend. I would have moved in with a family member. I would have left. If it's that dire, I would not waste a minute. And especially if not only I, but also my animals were at risk. No, I wouldn't stick around. And I would have taken that time to regroup and find a place to live. But am I mistaken? Doesn't it sound like she's dry begging for a mattress now? Wow. All right, well, keep on returning to that well and see how well it works out for you.
I want to let you guys know that I stand by that. I wouldn't. I will be giving a more detailed explanation as to the relationship with my mother when I get out.
Oh, God.
I will be talking about some of the more, you know, recent things that she's done that has made me feel extremely unsafe living there.
Did you call the police?
Aside from her threatening to hurt my animals, and then, yeah. I just want to say that your money isn't going to frivolous bullshit.
Oh.
It's going to help me get out of this situation.
Okay.
It's going to the trailer that my dad has to get in order to get my stuff over there. And it's going to my rent and my deposits to keep my cats, to secure this place. Once I get settled in, I will be giving you guys a apartment tour. I am super excited for you guys to see it. It's a
No, 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 no. For God's sake, child. For God's sake, no apartment tour. Absolutely fucking not. Now, this girl, in watching some of her old content, this girl is remarkably indiscreet, okay? She drives around whatever town she lives in Canada, showing every single landmark along the way. She was pointing a camera off the balcony, I guess, of where she was living, where you could clearly see the structure across the street. You could see the apartment building, the name of the building, all of it. So I guess that if you're familiar with Canada, you wouldn't have a problem identifying the town she lives in. She has shown the hallway of her apartment building. She has shown her workplace. And now she wants to do an apartment tour. Why? An apartment tour is a terrible idea. Listen, you really need, like, you need a mentor. You really need a mentor because you're going about this all wrong. All wrong. Because what's going to happen, if it hasn't happened already, people are going to find you. The Farms is going to figure out where the fuck you are because you are incredibly indiscreet. And they'll dox you for fun if they haven't done so already. You will panic. You'll make a big deal out of it. You'll start saying that people are threatening your life, whatever. Do not show your apartment. Please. Think of your own security. Think of your privacy. Value some element of your privacy, please. Very bad idea. All right, let's continue.
A really cute little place. It has a nice little yard area, and it's in general is just a nice little place, and it's gonna be safe, and I'm gonna be able to, you know, actually do things for myself, and I'm not gonna have to ask for the approval of others. I'm not gonna have to seek the approval of others for things I eat, for stuff I do,
okay,
for things I say, for things I wear. And I mean, I couldn't have done this without you guys, genuinely. I want you to know that. I am very, very thankful. And those videos are still coming out. I have the one that I'm filming tonight, and then Anna's hopefully should be up next week once we get the Wi-Fi. And I hope you...
Oh God, not an internet connection. Not an internet connection. Is your audience going to have to pay for your internet connection too? Are they going to have to pay your rent? Oh my God. All right. These children today.
You guys continue to watch them. And I will continue to make the videos for each of the goals that we reach. And I am going to continue to make little phone backgrounds for that. I took some photos of some flowers outside, and I'm going to make some Okanagan flower backgrounds for you guys as well, because I do want to share my home area with you guys.
Please don't.
And I'm going to try to make those from like $2 to $4 depending.
For what,
though? That's
the
update, kind of where everything's going in terms of, you know, where I'm moving to. We've got the place. I'm really excited, and I genuinely couldn't have done this without you guys. Again, I'm not so good at the apology thing. I hope you guys can give me some grace for that. I genuinely am sorry for, you know, deleting the harsher comments.
Stupid.
That really did trigger me, even
no
though
need.
I found them harsh. It was wrong. And yeah, I was being very hypocritical.
Nobody cares.
But, you know, couldn't take that criticism myself. And I am working on that. I am working to grow a thicker skin. I've never had a thick skin, and I'm working on that.
Okay, wait. Who accused her of being a hypocrite? Was that your mama? Because that's one of his favorite accusations. Oh, you're a hypocrite. The hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. Tell him, yeah, I said that, and. Yeah, I did that, and. It stops the momentum dead in its tracks. Believe me, Yo Mama has enough problems with his own channel, okay? He doesn't need to be telling you how to run yours. And you might want to tell him that, too. Not to be a bitch or anything, but God damn it, stand on business. You know, Journey, whatever your name is, this is not a nice community. There are not nice people in the community. There are people in the community who do not mean well. There are people in the community that will stick a knife in your back over $1. You know, there are people in the community that will gang up with other people in the community to try to destroy a third party, or to try to ruin somebody's life over, somebody else getting too much attention or getting super chats or getting praise or whatever. There are nasty motherfuckers in this community. And when you step into the octagon, you have to be ready. You have to be ready for those body blows. So if somebody comes to you and says, oh my God, you're a hypocrite. Yeah, I am. So what are they supposed to respond to that? Oh my God, this girl's learning curve is going to be painful to watch. I won't be watching it because I'm not interested in her. But I am interested in the fact that she's so young and she's already starting to learn these tactics. But if you want to stick around for a while, you really are going to have to toughen up, stop apologizing, run your channel the way you want, and just go with God.
I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to be a hypocrite. And again, I'm sorry for minimizing people's struggles with
You didn't.
saying that I was drowning and not taking into account that a bunch of other people are drowning too in all sorts of different ways. And so I just want to say again that I'm really sorry.
This is so
and
stupid.
I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Okay, well, that was retarded. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Journey. I know that you tried your best. There was absolutely no need for this apology. None. Grow up. Gird yourself for battle. And learn from this experience. You don't owe anybody anything. Except, wait a minute, with one exception. With one exception. If you go on stream and you demand money for a specific item or for a specific purpose, you owe it to your audience to show proof that you purchased it. You know? Whether it's money for treatment of an illness or money for anything. I would make an exception for money raised for rent, okay? Because I think that once you start making videos in the new space, people are going to be able to tell that you're not in the same place. But you don't owe a home tour, okay? You're not moving into a fucking mansion. You're not Jeffree Star. So you don't owe your audience that. You don't. But if you go on, look at Boogie2988, right? Boogie2988, who went on stream and talked about having cancer only to reveal later, or only to get people to reveal later, that he didn't have cancer. He wasn't diagnosed. And the way that Boogie was trying so hard to, not show his patient portal, because it would have demonstrated clearly that he was not diagnosed with cancer. Learn from that mistake. But see, the thing is that in this community, very few people are required, called out, or, being, whatever the expression is. There's very little follow-up is what I'm trying to say. Somebody can go on stream and say, oh, I need X. And I need this money, and I need it now. I need it by the close of business. I need it by the end of the week. I need this, I need this, I need this. Then, yeah, my feeling is that if you are raising money for a specific item, a purpose, whatever, that you need to prove that you bought that item. And I have held to that position for years. And I have gotten absolutely no love in this respect. But the audience of this community is very forgiving up to a point until they turn on you. So, but Journey, I would not push my luck. That is the advice I have. People get very grumpy when they go from channel to channel and they see people raising money for themselves not putting up a link to a charity, not trying to help people, but trying to raise money for themselves, and then showing absolutely no evidence that the money went to that purpose. And if you don't believe me, forget this community. Take a look at what's happening with iDubbbz and his wife. And it's all coming out now. All coming out about Creator Clash and all the problems and the huge chunk of money that iDubbbz and Anissa were taking for themselves. It's a lot. And we have seen people run too many scams, way too many scams on the platform. And people are getting sick of it. So you can only return to that well so many times, and then people will cancel you. And that'll be done. So anyway. All right, you guys, I'm done. 2 hours. Wow, the time flew. Okay. So I want to, thank everybody who was here. Thank you so much. Thanks for the donos. Thanks for the memberships. Thanks for all of it. And I really appreciate, excuse me, all of you. And I will see you guys the next time. I'll see you guys the next time. Thank you. And if any of you, remember, it's what it says in my outro. If any of you have topics that you would like to see discussed, let me know. Just like Betsy Martin let me know she wants me to talk about Pedro Pascal. I would be happy to. All right, you guys. I'll see you later.